Howdy guys. You might remember this beast. This is my Grundig 3028 that I got going, I guess, about 18 months ago. And it's one of my favorites. I use it a lot. But a little problem that I suspected was going to come has arrived, which is namely the clutch here is now slipping so badly that on FM when I turn the handle, and I'm getting my hand in as well, it moved a tiny little bit, but now as I turn the handle, no station move at all. I can get it to come back and go a little bit further, and then it stops again. So I'm going to have to get at that clutch mechanism and see what I can do with that. Medium wave still seems to be okay. So as I turn the handle, you can see the dial move. So it's only on one side. So I guess I'm lucky it lasted as long as it did, because it's had a lot of service for the last 18 months or so. So yeah, this one will be back up on the bench sometime soon. Fortunately, I have a donor set, or chassis, which doesn't have the clutch activating mechanism in it, but it has the two clutch plates, so hopefully if I need them, and then I have that. And it also has all the dial string, in case I need it. So, another project gets on the to-do list. So this is the donor set for the Grundig. Unfortunately, from my perspective, the whole clutch activation mechanism is gone. And by the look of the damage here, it looks like it was removed with a tire iron rather than anything more sophisticated. Anyway, the upshot of all of that is both clutch plates are engaged, because the fork, which would keep one of them away at any time, is obviously gone. But at least I can take this whole clutch assembly apart and get a really good understanding of how everything should work, and go from there. The amazing thing for me is, given the state of this set, chassis, all of the dial cords are still in place. But of course, since both clutch plates are engaged, both dial pointers move together. So I will definitely be taking these dial pointers, because mine were busted. At least one of them was badly busted. So I can transfer those over. And it could be that the problem with mine is that there is too much tension on the dial string. And so I'll try slackening that off first, because in my case I didn't have this thin steel wire, so I used thin dial cord, but it's still much thicker than this, and I didn't have the original springs, so I used the springs that I bought. The other possibility here is there's one of these knobs is cracked on my set, and they're all in good shape here, so I'm going to try and figure out, is there a way that I can get these off without doing damage. And if there is, I'll replace the one on my set. And that's about it. For the rest, I'll just strip it all down for parts I can keep, like the output transformer, variable condensers, and then so on, and yeah, then get rid of what's left, because I don't really have room for storing these things anymore. So let's start dismantling. Okay, so this is what the clutch mechanism looks like when you take it all apart. So you have the central flywheel, which has a raised dots all on this inner surface here on both sides. Then you have the two clutch plates, one each side, which has a I guess you'd call it like a clutch disc on one side, and then obviously the dial cord goes around the other. This is rock hard. I don't know whether it's supposed to be or not, but it's absolutely rock hard on this one. And this one is the same. Surface seems a little bit rougher and more pitted than this one. And yeah, I think the principle is pretty simple. You have a spring-loaded setup on each side, and then the actuator mechanism, when you select, will move one away and let the other one in, and vice versa. So one of these plates is engaged at all times, which determines which of the two bands is activated. Now if I look at the wear on the plates on this one, the FM one is slightly less worn than the AM one. And I think it's kind of the same on mine, where the FM one has got more material on it. Now when I push these plates against the flywheel, this thing is locked solid. I mean, there's no way this thing is going to slip unless you significantly back off the pressure. Since there's lots of material on the both plates on my set, I'm not quite sure that I know why mine is slipping. The immediate candidate would be that the fork that activates which one is active and which one is inactive. When it activates the FM one, for some reason there's not enough pressure on the plate. That could be because the fork is not set properly, or because the spring behind it is weak, or whatever. Really hard to say. Because my initial theory that it might just be that the dial cord is too tight, I'm not sure that that holds up, unless it is somehow causing the thing to bind up. Now the problem is, or the challenge is, to get this thing out of the chassis. Since the chassis I have is so badly damaged anyway, I just bent this front mount panel up so I could bring it out the front. I'm not quite sure. I just don't see how you can get it out down the back. So how I get access to mine when the time comes, that's going to be fun. So anybody has any suggestions, by all means let me know, and it might help out a lot. Okay, so I'm going to salvage all these pieces, and I'm just going to part out the rest of this set. And then when I've got it all stripped down and just the metalwork to throw away, I'll get on to fixing up my set. Okay guys, well I finally figured out how these keys are fitted on, these knobs are fitted onto these brackets here, and it is a doozy. So for the benefit of anybody else who never needs to do this on a Grundig, what you have is you have the front of the bracket, which has a little notch on it right here. You have a piece of spring steel which sits astride there. Well, you get the idea. So when you push this in, it compresses this little piece of spring steel, which expands out and grabs the side walls of the hole in here, and so it's pretty well impossible to get it out. I basically finally figured out by jamming different little miniature screwdrivers and stuff down each side of this thing and eventually deforming it, I was able to get it out of there. But not quite sure this helps me with my set, because I'm not quite sure. I had to dismantle the whole thing to get to where we are here. But at least now I know what I'm looking for. And so yeah, you can take this out without totally dismantling the sub chassis. Okay, there we go. Learning as we go.